Right, guys, welcome back to the Untitled Fitness Podcast. Today on the show, I have Alba Bolström, who is, I guess we'll say she is the 63 queen as of right now with how much that she has been winning. She's won Sheffield, she won Worlds, and she then won World Games. And she is also you're in 23, still still a junior.
No, I'm not still a junior. It's my
Yeah,
first year in the open
first year
now.
in the
So
Open.
I'm
Okay, but she's only
24.
24.
Yeah,
Okay,
tw
yeah.
24 in a month.
So I gotta ask you, like, but yeah, I know that you've most people have these when they're really good at a sport. It's kind of like you something that you kind of know very early on. Is this something that you kind of saw always happening, or is this kind of shock you that you've been able to make this much progress and be this at this high level into the sport?
Well, I always expected it because it was the goal. And I just had this feeling like if I keep going at it, once I start powerlifting, like if I truly give it my everything, I do think that I can reach this level and beyond. So it's always been my goal. So it's more so been like all throughout all these years since my first competition internationally, like my first Worlds, which was Junior Worlds in like 2021. Ever since then, I've more so been like waiting for it to come in a sense, which obviously did not come as fast as I wanted it to or kind of expected it to. So it was like, in a sense, harder than I expected. And now I kind of look at it like, oh shit, I actually did all of this. Even though I expected it, it's the same. It's also like a bit daunting, like, okay, I actually achieved it. And especially now, since I got Junior Worlds and then I got Open Worlds and now World Games all in a row, I kind of expected it, but at the same time, it felt like maybe it will happen, maybe not. Who knows?
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess like with mindset with that, I think that's such a big thing. I like talking with athletes about who are high level in the sport. Um, what has sort of been the change in mindset as you start out in the sport, as far as how you like just approach it from a progress perspective, or like everything that you do outside of the gym versus like right now, how has that shifted?
So it definitely shifted a lot. I think I've always believed that I've been doing my utmost and everything that I can. And then throughout the years, I've basically just learned that there are a lot of like loose hanging fruits and also like a lot of the things that you have to dig up the percentages you really have to dig up that I just haven't been taking into account. So when I first started, I was in high school. So, I was still in school, I was working. I didn't really know much. I didn't really know about how to eat or how to sleep or how to structure my day, when it was best to train, how to focus on my training. But I still like kind of tried to do something extra. I would say no to hanging out. I would say no to drinking and try to prioritize my sleep. And then just over the years I've realized like how to improve my sleep even more, that okay, I thought I slept well then, but now it's way better. And it's just been that like that for like everything: nutrition, mindset, how I approach my training, and also my days. And then over the years also like my schedule outside of powerlifting, like what I do for work, has obviously become better. I met my partner and he was very fast when we met to like, okay, well, you can do coaching and basically help get the ball rolling and to start doing that. And before that I worked like in a grocery store all the
Hmm.
time. So like he really helped me to get into that, and that obviously freed up a lot of time to be able to choose my own schedule and also like work from home less stress free. And then I've just like improved my schedule overall throughout the years. But so it's changed a lot, but I always believed I was doing the best. And I think that sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's not a good thing, because I believe I'm doing very good when maybe I'm not. There's always things that you can improve, and I kind of try to remind myself of that all the time. You can always do something a little bit better.
Yeah, I think something that's interesting about that is like when you talk about like these little like recovery habits and how much it kind of just powerlifting does take up your life when you do want to get really good at it. And I think that the conversation I have with a lot of my clients who are past that beginner stage is, hey, like you were able to mess around, not get your sleep, or do all these things for a long amount of time, but then now you're more of an intermediate lifter, and then it becomes even more important when you get advanced, and you kind of need to make the choice of, do I really care about this enough to the point where I'm going to make those quote unquote sacrifices to make sure that I'm able to recover well. I think it's just
Yeah.
kind of just comes down like how much do you enjoy like lifting? Because for me, like when I eat my calories and I sleep well and all that stuff, and I can throw weights around in the gym, like that is so much fun, and
Yeah.
it just makes me so happy. I think that for a lot of people though, it's like there are it does you have to kind of be really focused on the goals, and then that's something I was somewhat expecting your answer about how I was expecting this because it's like your attitude towards it and the things that you do to prepare for your session. It's like, well, that was what the goal always was. That's all the sacrifices that I've made. It wasn't like a shock for me. Um,
Yeah.
but I think for a lot of people like who are looking at someone like you, they're like, man, like she's just lucky. And I'm like, you have definitely have good genetics. Like that's something that definitely is a part of this. But with
Although
powerlifting
I would like to
especially,
disagree on
oh
that
really?
because yeah, just because there's so many freaks coming into the sport and everyone else literally starts higher than I did when I first started. And I do have horse riding background, so I've obviously like been doing a lot. And usually horse girls are strong when they get into the gym because we're lifting a lot in the
Yeah.
stables. And so I think that is my benefit when I started powerlifting. But otherwise, it's been kind of slow compared to others that start. Like I didn't start out as a freak. And then I think maybe genetically it's my mindset that I've just been so stubborn in the sense that, okay, I really want this and I kind of believe it. But I don't think necessarily that my genetics is specifically, okay, I'm great at lifting. If anything, I think I would be an amazing swimmer genetically. Like that's the one thing
Mm.
because everyone in my family, like they've done some kind of swimming in their youth. And when I go swim, it's like I feel like I'm one with the water. So I kind that's like the one sport like I really love outside. Never done it though. But it's also like one of these things, just to touch on what we just talked about, that I think about before, when I would try to optimize my training, it would be eating 3 breakfasts and candy during my session because I thought like that is gonna make me the strongest on the day. And I think that a lot of people have done it with start powerlifting, and it's like candied when you're doing your sessions and like hamburgers before. I would have pastries during my session, like just eat a ton of food and not care what. And I think one of the things that made the biggest change for me was really like realizing that, okay, it's not just calories in, calories out, it's also like what you actually fuel with. And that was like a big game changer as well, which I kind of learned because I thought I was doing it amazingly when I ate 3 breakfasts and pastries for my sessions, but that wasn't really it.
Yeah, it's there's two things over there that I like there. I think that food quality definitely is something that a lot of powerlifters don't really pay attention to. See, especially like it becomes even more important if you are trying to like gain muscle, which is kind of always the goal for powerlifting.
Yeah.
From like a digestion quality perspective, because I know that for myself, if I am trying to get down all my calories and I'm having like really high fats, or I'm having a lot more like processed foods, or I'm not like spreading out my foods so I can like digest it well during my day. I don't feel as good. It's hard for me to like get the food down. And
Yeah.
it's
It's also kind
interesting.
of
Go ahead.
No, it's also kind of easier to, I feel like, keep a good body composition where I think a
100%.
lot of people care about that as well. And you can eat more actually, you can like eat more food, feel more full, feel more energetic. And sometimes even I found like more calories if you eat good food rather than eating worse foods and still like maintain my weight. And it is a weight class sport. So I feel like that helps a ton as well. And a lot of people care about that too. So why not eat more quality food? Because you get best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think it's just with, like powerlifters. It's just like when you start off, like you kind of get rewarded for
Yeah.
eating like that, and then you get to be more and more advanced, and you realize I can't gain muscle as fast, and then you don't feel as good too. It's like for me, like if I'm above like that really small surplus of about 200 calories, yeah, my body tells me like this isn't sustainable, and like my appetite just shuts down really hard, and I just have to like really force the food down. But I think it also just has
Yeah.
to do with like my background is like I was really anorexic during high school. And so like that's something that I really had to like overcome with powerlifting, but learning how to like properly fuel myself with there helped me out a ton with, just having a better relationship with like food. I still struggle with it a little bit right now from like the mentality of like bulking like the bars, I see like this like the skill like jump up because I'm a person that I don't gain weight slowly. It's like boom, 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 like all at once. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, getting fat. But then like
It's actually the same for me.
yeah, I think it's pretty common for a lot of people. But I'm always just like then I come into the gym and like just like throw around more weights and it's like, oh, I guess if I gain weight, this is actually good and I look stronger. And my friends are like, bro, you're looking like your arms look big. And I'm like, oh, hey, let's keep going.
Yep.
But I think as far as what you said about the not having like a really high baseline, but having to be more that slow burn. I think that's really something that's really important to talk about actually, because I do find that you will see some people that have these really fast initial like bursts of progress, and they kind of just they burn out very very fast. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you are more of that slow burn. Um, I guess what was your like I guess like as far as that and getting stronger over that period of time, like what changed for you as far as like programming goes, to ensure that you were able to consistently make those strength gains?
So the first thing I want to say is just like a mindset thing, which I think goes into the programming thing, but also since I've been a slow burner, is the first coach that I did have, like he had it done like I think it was the first one to do 400 kilos equipped in the plus in the bench press. So like he's really good. And he was so important and meticulous with really telling me because at that time I had performance anxiety in school. So I went to like a psychiatrist and everything, and my dad told him, and he was like really scared for me. So he was so meticulous with telling me, you have to take the slow run. You just don't want to get injured. That's the biggest thing. So he was always like keeping me down a little bit, and he told me for my first competition, like, I'm gonna coach you to get to the national team. You're gonna get to worlds. Like he believed in me from the start, but he also was really meticulous with telling me that it's going to take time. And we basically had the plan all along because I was a sub junior at the time, do sub juniors and then in the juniors just grow, just try to get better and get stronger so that I can grow in, and when I get to the open be injury free and just do well when I get to the open. So the plan was always to just grow into the open, and that was gonna be a 7 year journey. And so I always had that in the back of my mind, and I think that has helped. And so for my programming, that has changed a lot because I was with him for the first 2 years, and it was not like um, probably like pretty basic old school training. He didn't really use percentage based training. I sent him my videos and he was also at the gym with me, and he just looked at what I was doing and then increased the weight next week pretty much. Like it was really, really simple. Lots of 8x8 in bench press. I think I had one time where like PB'd my 8 times 8 in bench press with like 1 kilo each week for like 30 weeks. So that was
That's
fun.
no Swedish like bench press for like prescription.
Yeah, probably. It was like typical peaking. 8 times 8, you start at that, and then when you get closer to comp, you do 7x7, and then you do six by
Yep.
six, and then 5x5. And it kind of
Average
worked really
Swedish, yeah,
well.
progression, huh?
Yeah, yeah. No, but it worked really well for like the first 2 years, probably because, I had so much energy, and whenever I didn't hit a PR, I was sad and crying. So, I was always like, I have to get better. I have to hit PRs. But he also like had that, I didn't understand it at the time, the easy training and the importance of that. And then I think I kind of plateaued a little bit. He stopped coaching really because I was like the only one that he coached. So it wasn't like I hired a coach. It was more so like he helped me out. And then he kind of stopped doing that. And I kind of learned more about powerlifting programming, like, okay, there's this thing called RPE. What is that? And I kind of just felt like I wanted to try something new. And that time I like just increased my training by a day. I started another coach with had like RPE program, it's static program where you have like RPE. You have the same RPE for four
Hmm.
weeks in a row, and then you have a deload. And in the beginning, I PR like crazy because it was the first time where I didn't have a decided weight. So I was just allowed to push all the time. But I was not very mature for this. I did it for a year and then I realized like, okay, I need someone to hold me back because I was maxing out and overshooting all of the time. And this was 2021. So for my first junior worlds, and I had done like 205 kilos in the deadlift at that time, which at that time was above the like sub junior record or something, or junior record, world record. I don't
Hmm.
know, but it was somewhere about there. So I thought I would do really well at that world. Obviously didn't because I underestimated my competitors, but also I overshot my training all the time to try to like force myself to get strong
Mm.
enough for that world. Because I was like, okay, this Italian girl, Chiara, it was, and Cernal, they squat 180 kilos, and I did like a double at 160. So I was like, I can get to 180. So I just maxed out every session, hoping to get to 180, and kind of was really sad at the end of prep when I realized I'm still not at 180. And it was just at that time I plateaued because I couldn't follow the RP because I didn't understand the value behind it. I just went with it. I just took it as an opportunity to push myself super hard. And then I deloaded properly, but I would still hit PRs and deload sometimes because I would always overshoot something. And then I switched to a coach that could be with me. She was super harsh with her, like how she does things. And at that time, that was exactly what I needed. So she kind of screened me and my body and my weaknesses. I found out that my upper traps are activated like crazy. I only used my upper traps in my upper body. I had like zero lats because my upper traps did all the work. And so we kind of started working on my lower traps, my scapula strength and control, and like working up my lats and like work on these small weaknesses that I had. I did injure myself at that time, and probably also because when I had decided weights at that time, I didn't really understand trying to how to make a weight good. Like, okay, if you have an easy set of 100 kilos, yes, it's easy, but you should still like take care of your technique and do it as well as you possibly can. I did not understand that. So I would just, whenever she programmed an easy weight, I would literally just go through the motion. So whenever we got a heavy weight, I actually ended up like, it was just too heavy and I injured myself.
Mm.
And I also wasn't very good at that time. I started online coaching and I sat on my ass all the entire day. And I didn't realize like, okay, walks is actually really good. I would take walk-ins in the past, but I was like, I didn't realize the injury prevention of getting your steps in. So that was something I kind of had to learn. And it was just a year of like getting injured, getting back from injury, but also learning, okay, when you're supposed to go easy, when you're supposed to go hard, which allowed me to later after that start with Joey. And he has RP. He does a dynamic type of program where week one is easy, week four is hard. And now over the years, I've trained the exact same way since that. So that's the end of 2022. I started with Joey and I had him since, and I basically trained the exact same way since then. And the only thing is, I've learned to follow the program more. Like in the beginning, I would still be I would be less inclined to overshooting because of the dynamic style, where you have the week one that's easy, and you have the week four that is the hardest, and you increase the weight a little bit, little. So it was easier to like map out that, okay, my weights are going to increase every week, but I'm not going to PR 4 weeks in a row like I've done in the past. And also, since she held me back for that year, I kind of learned which weights move, how different weights moved for me. And I was just way more mature, so I could actually make good choices. And then that started working. And with Joey, I also ended up doing way less training than I did before. Before I would do like 3 to 4 hour leg sessions, and it would not be
Wow.
that much squat and delay. It would be like I would do ride the sled, I would do leg press, I would do leg extensions. There were just so many exercises which I probably needed at that time. But so when I went with Joey, it was way less training. And so I could just have more quality, way simpler, way less training, like just more quality instead. And I felt like that has worked really well. And now, kind of on my own account, I've asked him to like add in an extra squat day, mainly because I think it's fun. And
Right.
it worked well. I wouldn't say like I think that this world's prep was like amazing because I added another squat day. I don't think it affected so much. Mainly just made me more consistent. And I would say that's where I'm at right now. So that's
Mhm.
long story.
No, I think that's great. I think that's something that I've noticed with most people that have gotten really strong is when they're starting out, they always have the experience of pushing way too hard.
Yeah.
Because it all works when you're a beginner with that. As you get stronger, it becomes more about being like a sniper and being very precise with
Yeah.
everything that
I
you're
know.
doing in training.
100%. And I also think that I think that you do need the time that you do train super hard and you don't make any gains because you're literally just training. And then when you do pull back, that's when you're gonna make a lot of progress. But I do feel like having that base because it's two podcasts I've heard about this and I kind of like put the pieces together a few years ago. But for example, Amanda Lawrence, I think she squatted like every day or like 4 or 5 times per week when she first started powerlifting. She squatted like crazy. And Amanda Lawrence, if you don't know, is a world record holder in the squat
Yeah,
and
she's
she squats
insane.
like 250 kilos. So she's crazy. And you know, she has the same coach as me, but she started doing that. And I think that if she'd been doing that much squatting before, maybe yeah, she didn't increase that much at that time, but it probably definitely built the base. Like you see people that have done a lot of sports before and they get into powerlifting and it's like they do really well. Because I think if you're just well trained, before, I think it's a good thing. So having those times where I think if I would go like crazy and do like crazy amount of work, I probably wouldn't get much stronger at the moment. And my peak lifts, like my top ends, would probably go down. But maybe I would build a good base. And then after a while, if I go back to what I'm doing now, I'm actually gonna maybe hit some PRs as long as it's not I'm only running, as long as it's still specific to like powerlifting. Because I think it's important to have that from time to time where you do too much, but you have to understand that when you're doing too much, your PBs are going to go down. I think that's where most people are afraid of.
I think it's about like especially like important to identify that limit because then the way you make the most progress is you kind of stay right underneath that limit. But
Yeah,
you're like just like right there. And I realized that the hard way as I've gotten stronger is you know my training volumes had to go has had to go down, and it makes sense
yeah,
because you get better at lifting weights. You're stronger. There's more fatigue
yeah,
from that. But like I have to be disciplined with myself even still right now. It's like I could just keep going. Like I love training, and I'm like I
yeah,
just want to get like more like more of a pump. This is fun. But I have to like remind myself like, but like you have your beat force squat on Saturday, you can't do more leg press just because you're having fun right now. Like if you want to make sure that
yeah,
you're actually strong when it matters, and just having that discipline. I always find like I reframe it to a lot of my more advanced lifters and myself as like the discipline of resting.
yeah.
Because for people
It
that
takes
love
more
to
to
train,
rest.
it's so much harder. I'm like, it's like I mean, you and I both like right now, like if it worked, like we would be bicep curling right now as we're talking, because that would
Yeah,
make us more gains. But just not how it works, unfortunately.
yeah. Sadly, it's like one thing that Joey told me when I first started was it's about what you can recover from, not how much you can do. And that really stuck with me. And I think now I still love training and pushing, and especially, but I found that when I want to push is more so nowadays when I am insecure. When I am insecure about my strength or where I am in regards to my competitors, that's when I start want to do more. Because otherwise, kind of nowadays, I feel like I actually know that it's the easy days that work. Like a lot of times when I'm doing my singles on the easy week, it's gonna be 150 kilos in the squat, and that's like 50 kilos under my PR. And like 150 kilo is a weight I do often in the squat, and I can look at my competitors and they're like repping 180, 190, and I'm like, and we're not that far away in our PRs, and I'm like, if I would do that, I would first of all need to peak like crazy to be able to do that, and then I would be cooked for like 5 to 8 weeks after because I kind of learned that, well, once you get stronger, like you say, you don't have to have as much volume because you're lifting more weights. And I found like the stronger you get, the harder everything gets as well. Like recovery has to be on point. When you're just off a day, you notice that the next
Oh yeah,
session, the next week, you
yeah.
notice it in the block. And so you just have to dial in on like almost everything because and also for injury prevention as well because it's so easy to feel something like just because of the weights that you're on. And I found like once I hit 180 kilo in the squat, all of a sudden my rehab had to be perfect or I get some pain in my groin or my knee. Like it has to be perfect. It's like 180 was the magical number before I started having issues.
That's a really interesting topic too, because I noticed the same thing. Like as I've gotten stronger, like I used to like never have to do like mobility or like stretching, but like
Yeah,
as I've gotten stronger, I realized like I just have to do that, or else I'm going to have pain under the bar just because like I don't have like the greatest mobility in my hips or in my shoulders, and like it
yeah,
wasn't an issue until it became an issue. And having the discipline to like do that, like I don't, I always, I don't, I think it's important to not have it take up a lot of time. So like for me, like I will not be adherent if I spend more than 5 minutes like stretching or doing like mobility work. Like I'll
yeah,
walk in the gym and just do that like before my session, and like it makes my training just feel that much better. Uh,
yeah,
it's like yeah, injuries are weird too because like it could just because like it's funny you're talking about Amanda being 250. I squat 250 too, but it's like ever since I got to that range, it's like that's when my back and my hip like has been like really like temperamental, and I've had to like really be like strict about like my stretching so I can maintain that mobility because sometimes like that's a big part of pain and injury. Just like you just don't have the mobility and that strength in that position, and you need to actually work on that in order to be able to tolerate your training. Are there any
Yeah.
sort of specific things that you do as far as that goes?
So I have like a mobility routine I do every morning and also as a warm up. And that's like pretty much it. It's like the only real thing that I need to do. But if I skip it as a warm up one session, I feel it the next day. And it's just something I started with in 2022 when I got my back injury. And ever since then, so I just had to keep going. At first, it was once a day, and then I had to increase it to 2 times per day. And it's just basically like some hip mobility. Like it's super simple. It's 4 exercises. I do them for like 8 reps. And then I literally just do 3 rounds. And it takes me like 3 minutes tops, sometimes two. Like it's super fast. But that keeps me, I think, just because I do it every day, it keeps me just mobile enough. But if I don't do it, my lower back and my hips get so stiff that I'm gonna start feeling my lower back, even if I'm like walking and getting my steps in, even if I'm
Yep.
active. Otherwise, I still gonna feel it because I'm gonna get stiff. And I think it's just because strength training, you're gonna get a little bit tight when you're training heavy. So it's like if I skip it, I'm gonna get tighter. So now I just do it like that and it helps keeps it away. And I've been doing it since 2022. So and
Yeah,
it's like
no,
a Cossack squat and a scorpion, like a spider lunge and a scorpion scorpion stretch. No, scorpion lunge. I don't know. You lay on your tummy and then you have your hands out to the side and you swing your leg to the opposite
yeah,
hand.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so I don't know. I rem scorpion something. But I do those three. And like I just sit in a squat and bounce up and down. So it's like super,
yep,
super, super simple, but it keeps the doctor away.
yes, and
And then I
that's
do some
what
for
you
my
want.
knee as well that I have, but that's more specific because I have like one leg that rotates outward and one leg that rotates inward. So I'm like trying to work on
Yep.
inward rotation in one leg and outward in one. And that just keeps because otherwise my groin pinches and then it it's like a nerve that pinches and it goes down to my knee eventually if it gets too bad. Once I started with this rehab routine that I got from one physio, like it's gone, so I just keep at it. But it's like if I skip it once, like I did in competition, I may not do it. I do it just for 1 round instead of like two, which I usually do. And then I don't get any pain in the competition, but I can still feel that, okay, it's getting a little bit tight. So if I would
Yeah,
do it, it's going to get to pain. So I know that, okay, it's fine for one day, like when I have a competition, because I don't want to do too much rehab before, but during that time. But yeah, I can feel it as soon as I just stop for a second. So I'm just like forced to do it now. It's not even like a choice
yeah,
anymore. It's not like
yeah,
I don't have to have that much discipline because I start feeling something and then I get mad and then I just have to do it if I want to lift at all. So
yeah.
yeah, at this point, it's
Once you've
just
been in
forced.
chronic pain, it's like I'm going to take the 5 minutes of my day to make sure that I can feel good and actually move
Yeah,
because like you mentioned, like I almost like the same thing too. Like if I'm benching and like I was wondering why am I having such a hard time around my chest? And this is because I
yeah,
have such a hard time with external rotation.
yeah,
And like why am I having issues like with my hip on squat? It's like oh, I have really bad internal rotation on my femur. And so, like, as I've been able to improve like my mobility and flexibility and just feeling like less stiff in general, it's just life is just better. I
yeah,
feel like there's some small benefits of like just like recovery too with doing that. Especially like, after a session too, if it gets you into like more like a relaxed state faster by
yeah,
doing that mobility. But I also think you said something cool too about the lightweights battering too, and each session building on each other. I had Joe Bornstein on here, and he talked about that too,
yeah,
where he said that people like only lock in for their primaries when it's like it's everything that you're doing with your training week that makes that primary day show up the way that you want to. It's getting your calories in consistently as your sleep. Because I mean, I've anyone who's underate consistently knows that one day of eating a surplus doesn't just magically change your training. It's that consistent intake of eating enough
yeah.
and sleeping enough and whatnot. So like what are
Funny
some things that
thing.
that you do as far as like mentality goes around those sessions to take them like seriously?
No, so for me, I think that I do take everyone seriously, but one thing that I have found is if I do want my primary day to feel good, then my secondary days have to feel like shit. And
Really?
that's something, yeah, because whenever I have a secondary day, like if I feel amazing, I may sometimes feel amazing, but at that time, if I do take it out and go just slightly heavier than I normally would, my primary day is going to be affected. So I kind of learned, like I talked about 150 in the squat. I don't know, it's a magic number that I'm stuck on or something, but no, it kind of increases a little bit over time. But I found that when I'm in prep for some reason, when I'm peaking, usually 150 is gonna feel like the world on my shoulders. Like it's just gonna feel super heavy and hard each secondary day when I'm doing like 190 to 200 kilos on my primary day as my single. Like I just know that I'm gonna have a big jump, and it's the same as well for my bench. Previously, it was like the Thursday that felt worse, and now that I added 4 days of benching, it was the Saturday. So the third day, that always felt worse. And I kind of know that whenever I feel good on that session, I do push myself and I push myself a little bit, then my primary day isn't as good. So it's not that I'm trying to make it shit, but I kind of understood, came to the understanding that today I want to focus on execution. So I try to lock in instead on execution and just having an objective with my session that today we want to focus on this technique. We want to make sure that it's comp standard. I'm still making sure that I have the good rest, I have good focus and those kind of things, but I'm also not trying to push the weight beyond what I'm capable of that day and beyond what's gonna fatigue me too much for my primary. And like I say 150 kilos for me, that's just something where I've started to notice happens and it's probably gonna change in the future as I get stronger. So like you just have to kind of find those numbers that worked for you. But I've found very often that, and I'm someone that I can't lift heavy that much too. Like if I go a little bit during a peak, I can do it because volume is getting lower and it's so much intensity, so I'm more used to it. But whenever I'm in like a volume block or something, if I'm doing one heavy single or one set of two heavy reps, like I'm fatigued for the rest of the block. And I don't know exactly why that is, but I definitely don't handle the same amount of intensities that other people do. And I kind of accepted that. And that has helped me immensely because whenever else I'm just going to feel like, okay, secondary day goes bad. It's bad weights. And then I'm going to be sad and frustrated. But then I'm going to feel amazing on the primary day. And like, then it's worth it. And I don't think many people talk about that, but it's just, and Joey spoke about it with me as well. You know, we want that now that we've added in more days again, like having more squat days and stuff, just because mainly for fun, not the best thing maybe, but just for fun. And also, I think it's going to give something, otherwise, I wouldn't do it. But it's that if we start seeing that every session is kind of the same, everyone is like sub max, then we probably need to take something out again because we do want to have that difference from the primary day and the secondary days.
Yeah, one thing about the intensity like response, I mean that makes sense if I look at you like your leverages, like you don't have like amazing leverages on like a squat or a bench.
No.
And like that's something I've noticed for like myself too. Like I don't handle like the higher intensities very well. Like singles are just really tough for me. And I always feel just I feel so wrecked when I'm doing like just singles blocks. But
Yeah.
I can get stronger during them, but not that much. And most of my progress is maybe I'm doing like the higher volume stuff, sets of like 3 to 5 for like top sets. That's where I feel really, really good. And then like on secondary days, it's like I really do like higher reps because it just helps me like I just feel better. Like it helps me with my movement quality. Because also like you, if you're to say I don't do a single on your secondary day, I'm like I'll do 225 maybe if I'm lucky. Like
Yeah.
maybe if I'm lucky. And just understanding that and being okay with that and having those fluctuations. I think you said something really important there about if you have just like really respecting your body's fatigue patterns. And if you feel really cooked on a secondary day, but that's consistent, that's fine. It just means that you're tired and you're fatigued and you need more time
Yeah.
to recover. For you, it sounds like it's more of like a let's get, some decently heavy stimulus that doesn't, have us detrain, get some technique work in, and so our priorities actually feel good. Because my coach is Joe Stanek, and he coaches like Austin Perkins and Gustav, and he was saying that they squat 3 days a week, but their third squat day is like 50 to 60%, and it's just to get their just so that they don't feel bad on their
Yeah.
primary day.
Yeah, and it's basically the same for me when I had a third day in because I noticed that I just can't go heavier in that day. And like when I added a third day of squats, it was like 120 kilos was heavy. It
Yeah,
felt heavy for like even 100 kilo feels heavy. And I kind of understand it so much more now. And like I also have learned that, okay, sometimes if I'm on a day where am fatigued and that weight actually feels heavy, then that is actually giving me the stimulus to work and grow stronger. It would be one thing if I only on the entire week went 60%. Yeah, then it's too low to grow to actually get stronger with like doing two sets of triples or something like something super easy. But if on that day, because I've done a lot of work previously in the week or the previous weeks even, then that weight is still gonna allow me to get stronger. And so even when I have those sessions, I kind of learned like as long as I have the good execution and the focus, then it's gonna allow me to get stronger. But it is gonna be a problem if I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling good today, such a light weight, and then I just go through the motion and I don't care. I just go through it because
Yeah.
then I don't have any kind of intention, and then I'm not gonna work anything, and I kind of it's at that point it's just going to be active recovery, and I still feel like I do grow from my sessions. It's just that I have like one session in me, and when I have volume blocks, like then my deadlift, if I push my squat reps, then my deadlift is going to be feeling really bad, and then I learned that as well. So it's like you just have to learn, like you said, your fatigue patterns with your own body and not compare yourself to others. Like I can see Meg and Chiara and they can squat like crazy heavy reps, and I just can't do that. Even though I'm around the same numbers in my top end, I just can't do that. And Joey also told me this as well, which I think makes sense. I kind of have a long range of motion in my squat, even though I'm very short. I probably should have a shorter range of motion, but I kind of have a long range of motion in my squat.
Yeah.
It's good that I have it somewhere because my bench and the loop don't.
Yeah. No, I mean that's something that I've actually seen. I love that Joey mentioned that she was the average intensity that you need to work at is like basically how I think about this. And Steve Janoli from Pure S Performance has a great video on how like range of motion affects like for what percentage of your max that people will kind of work at. And for people with longer range of motion, if you look at the typical RPE chart, it's like downshifted by like 2% as far as the intensity. So if you think about it, it's like say for someone like you or me, if we're squatting, you have really long legs, and 70% is actually more like 80% for us. Like when we're under fatigue, and then that 60% on the actual RPE chart is more within that 70 to 80% range. This is how like
Yeah,
fatigue that we do get. When people like Meg and Kiara have shorter range of motion, like they can just operate in that quote unquote true 70 to 80% range. But I think it's awesome that it's like, hey, this is what works for me, and this is my body, and I just can't train as hard. I can't push these movements as hard, but I'm still
yeah,
getting stronger. And I think that's important for
yeah,
people to realize about themselves. It's like it doesn't matter like how easy your training might look, because that's still going to be hard for you. Because even when Joe puts like sets of five with like 65% for me on squats, I'm still working hard. Like I still feel pretty
yeah,
fatigued from that. And I know if I was to do like more, then my back would start to flare up. And that's just a sign. It's just too much
yeah.
weight for me.
Yeah. And I think you just have to realize that not put your identity into, okay, this person can train this hard to get stronger. So if I can't train this hard, then I won't get stronger. Or like because if you're getting stronger with doing less, that is a good thing. We kind of want to do as little as possible and get as strong as possible, because there's less like risk of injuries and everything if you can't get away with doing less. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but my identity goes to it all the time. So I have to battle this all the time with, okay, I want to do more. Simply because I feel like if I'm gonna do more, then I would get strong. Or it doesn't really matter the gains I'm doing. I just want to do more because I want to
Yeah.
feel like like I'm working hard. And then I just wanted to touch up a funny thing for me is that my bench and my deadlift, I have a short range of motion, but I still get just as fatigued as easily as my squat. Maybe squat is the one that's where I feel it the most, definitely more than deadlift a little bit, but I still like have the same thing. Like my bench is a very short range of motion, but I get cooked. But I think that's just because probably I'm like double, like two times my body weight in the bench press, even though it's a
Yeah.
short range of motion. So I think that's why it's like it cooks me very easily.
Yeah, it's really weird, especially with the higher intensities that you start to lift. Like you look at like Ruska, and he does like 60% for like doubles sometimes. And you're like, how's that working? But he's just super strong and he just generates a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess asking you as a final question, when you are at these high level competitions and you are on the platform, well, how do you get in the right mental space to perform? And say if like like you miss a lift, like how do you respond to that?
So, well, missing a lift, it kind of depends. I feel like over the years I've gone, I'm not, hope I don't jinx myself, but it kind of depends on the headspace going into the competition, I would say. Because, for example, now World Games, I missed a bench, my first bench, because and obviously Shara bombed out. So they were really tough on the judging. And I could have been super scared and like start to change something and everything, but I was very calm and like I just knew I'm strong enough. I can get this. This isn't a problem. I will get this next one because I know what to do. For Sheffield, for example, though, I was neurotic going into the competition. So I kind of had the gut feeling that we're overreaching our numbers and I may fail this lift. And so I was I did handle it very, very bad. And like each lift that I failed went into the squad or went into the next lift. And so at Sheffield, I wasn't able to handle it very well because moving into the competition, I had bad expectations. I overshot my lot in my training. I basically didn't stick to the program, or I stuck to the program, but I went over RP. And due to that, I was just too fatigued, had no idea where my strength was, and I had a Frankenstein technique because I changed things every session because I tried to just fix the issue fast because the competition was coming fast. And I had so much pressure on myself. And so at that time, I wasn't able to handle it well at all. I probably should have just, okay, I missed the lift. Let's get over it. Let's just do what I always do for the next one. And on a good meet where I've had a good prep, or like more so a honest prep, then if I miss a lift, I will kind of know that, just know the reason and be like, okay, this happened. And then I'm kind of when just go through it. But so it was basically like for World Games, I was on the verge of, I had a really, or we could take, yeah, World Games is a good one because I did 195 kilos in my second squad and it was very, very like hacky. Could you say that? But it was just like, I don't know what happened, but I just got like a misgroove out of the bottom and so I could start thinking there, okay, maybe what if I miss this next one? Uh, but I've kind of had in training right now, I kind of, whenever I choose a weight, I ask myself, what if I fail? And if I get a gut feel, if I start saying, no, it's okay if you fail, you won't fail, or start thinking like trying to explain the weight for myself, I know it's not the right weight because I'm gonna fail
Mm,
it. But if I
yep.
ask myself, am I gonna fail this weight? And my gut just tells me, why are you even asking? You're not gonna fail. That won't
Right.
happen. My gut, I literally can't feel. Then I know, okay, I got it. And for some reason that always works. Because whenever I fail a weight, I've always had thought about failing before, and I kind of like explain it to myself why I won't do it or I will give it everything I got or something. So I force it. Um, and so the competition, like getting into the right mindset, I would just say that it's a lot of it is basically the entire prep. How you think about it all the time, like every session and what you do. If you have a good prep and have the work done, it will be way easier to be in the right headspace on the day. And on the day, I kind of know that I've done all my training. I can't control my competitors. I can only control myself. And I just try to basically think about endure, like just endure. Because I do a water cut, I do a gut cut, so I cut a lot of weight as well. And I'm always gonna feel sick and a little bit because of that. It just doesn't feel
Yep.
that good. But so I kind of just learned to just endure, and it's something I try to think about in my training too. Like just endure this feeling. It's gonna be over. You can do it. It feels tough. It feels hard. You don't feel your legs under you right now, but that does not mean that you're not strong enough. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. Just be in it and accept it because it's something I learned from a meditation book that I kind of try to apply all the time. But it's suffering is pain equals resistance. So, for example, if you have a 10 out of 10 pain, but your resistance is zero. You really don't try to resist the pain that you're feeling at all. You go into it like completely fully accept it. Then you won't suffer. Yeah, you're still gonna feel the pain, but you won't suffer. But at the same time, if your pain is like a one, So it's like you have this small nag, and maybe it's like a mosquito bite or something. It's a
Hmm.
small something pain wise. And then your resistance is like a 10. You really don't want this. Then you're going to suffer. Your suffering is going to be a 10 because the pain is not going to be that high. But if you really, really try to resist it, when may probably in some cases when you can't resist it, you're going to have a lot of suffering. So I just kind of try to, whenever I feel some kind of discomfort or anything, I just try to accept it as much as I can because I probably can't get away from it. And also it's self-inflicted because I choose to compete at this level and everything. So I made the choice to go here. I made the choice to make this weight. I made the choice to make this cut. Everything that I've done has been my own choice. So I just try to accept it as much as I can. And like for Sheffield, I couldn't. I tried to, but I just had because I was neurotic and I was not honest at all during my prep. And then it was too hard to do on meet day. But I hope that I've truly learned from that. I probably might have a bad meet in the future where it goes back to that again. But then I will just have to learn from it again, I guess. But I learned a lot from Sheffield just because I had that.
I think that as you get more advanced, you definitely your gauge of what you actually can do becomes a lot more accurate. I don't know that for myself. I know I'm always spot on. And like you, if I'm like get a little bit nervous, I'm like, I don't know if I have this. Like I most of the time won't make that lift. I also like how you mentioned leaning into that discomfort. Because I think that's also like a part of learning how to just lift heavy in general. It's something I see with a lot of my clients who struggle with like, execution of heavier weights is it feels hard. They feel that strain. They kind of feel like, oh my gosh, it's kind of heavy and they like do something to like kind of like get away from that. It's like, no, man, you
Yeah,
gotta sit in that. Like you gotta trust you gotta trust your legs. You can't just like try to get away from that strain.
yeah.
It sounds like for you too, it's like you've just learned to like rise to the occasion as you've gotten more and more experience and just embrace like the limelight and out of curiosity, has it become like less outcome oriented where it's like obviously you want to win, but are you mostly just like worrying about like maximizing like what you can do on that day and just letting the cards fall wherever they might for the other lifters at that level?
Sorry, you disappeared a little bit.
So are you when you're like at these high level meets, are you more so concerned about like I'm just going to hit my numbers and then when deadlifts come around, I'm going to play the game, or is it more like you paid a lot more attention to like what your competitors are doing because like you're super concerned with like winning.
No, I don't pay attention to my competitors at all. I try to, not at least, because I do trust my coaches enough for that. Because, well, I've had Joey there, and Kendrick's been behind one time, and we have Carol, who's a Swedish coach. She's really good, and sometimes I've had Thomas, and I just know that they're gonna make good decisions on that when it comes to like, okay, we have to make this weight because she is doing this. But I kind of don't like to adapt my numbers too much to what my competitors are doing until the last deadlift. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do is just maximize, fly as close to the sun as I possibly can without missing. I've been going too safe in the past where I just save something because I'm a little bit nervous. And now I'm more so, okay, I go with the weight that we have planned if it feels good. So I'm being honest to what is there on the day and then try to max out and go as heavy as possible to so still like we gather kilos on the total, but at the same time we don't go like we gather kilos on the total, but we don't go too heavy or something. So we or too safe, I would say. And so I just try to not look at my competitors at all because I feel like then I start thinking like, okay, what if I do this bench? What if I do this deadlift? And we were thinking about for World Games doing another number for my second deadlift, a heavier number, just to like force them to maybe go heavier in the third. And I just kind of told them like, no, no, let's just stick to the plan. Let's
Yeah.
go the no lower number because I feel like I do want to just reserve all of my energy for the third one. So I don't want to go too heavy on the second one.
It makes a lot of sense because I'm just like you with that. I'm like, I know how heavy I need to go to know how strong I am, and I don't care what they're that makes them feel
Yeah.
like they're
But also
capable
I
of or
can't
not.
control it. And I kind of felt like powerlifting is like a sport where you're running your own race until deadlift comes. And so it's still a race where, okay, if you can get a ship and if you can get, you want to maximize, but in the end, you just have to, like the best, absolute best thing you can do if it's tied through you and your competitors is max what you can do on the squat and bench. So
Mhm.
you don't really need to know what they're doing. So if you want to give yourself the best opportunity possible to beat them, you just have to maximize what you can do in those lifts, and then come deadlift to see what you can do. But for Worlds last year, I went too safe. We went too easy on the squat because we wanted to gather kilos and I was a little bit nervous, so we didn't stick to the plan, and so that ended up with us having to load. And we did the same in this bench too because I was a little bit nervous, and then we ended up having to load at the lifts that was just too heavy in the end, and I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And then I came fourth. So it's one of those because I've done both. I've done the same in Junior Worlds in Romania where I lost my 2 kilos, also because we went a little bit too conservative on the squat, and we always felt like we went under the plan, and the last squat was always easy. And we were like, oh shit, we actually should have followed the plan that we set out because I was obviously strong on the day. And then you can always look, what if maybe I got nervous and would have failed it anyway, but probably not. So I made that mistake of going too safe, having to load up too much in the deadlift, and then just losing. So now I'm kind of, and I also made the mistake of trying to do too much and then ending up getting burned by the sun and failing a lift
Right.
and then being, screwed for the rest of the competition too. So, but I feel like running your own race, I tried to do the same in training as well. Like just run my own race, not check social media too much, just be in my own lane because at the end, that's all I can do. And I feel like then I'm controlling everything that I can.
Think that's a great way to end things off. So thanks so much, Alba, for being able to come on. Really great with you. I appreciate it. If people want to follow you or hire you for coaching, where can they head?
Thank you, first of all, for having me. So they can follow me on Instagram. It's Alba Bolström without the but without the O, you would say. So just RM at the end there. And then if they're interested in coaching, you could just send a DM. I also have a link in my bio, and then you can get to a page where you can actually read all of the info, and then you can schedule a call with someone from my team, and then we take everything from there, basically, if it's a good match.
Perfect. Well, make sure I include that information in the show notes for the listeners. And thank you guys for listening. Caught you guys in the next episode.